What of time and space? Everywhere and anywhere, every star that ever was. Where do you want to start?
We've escaped from the Censorites and their thrilling use of decorative sashes, so we're looking forward to a very exciting climax to Season 1 of Doctor Who in a story which promises much, including a huge French chopper. I'm Ian.
And I'm Mark. And coming up after this, we'll be joined by our friends Bob and Craig from the Progtor Who podcast.
There we are, home.
I say, do you think we really are home?
I don't know.
We've lost our way and we need your help. This is England, isn't it? No, France. You know, I'm certain we're sometime in the past.
Here, look at this.
This is signed by Robespierre.
The doctors put us down right in the middle of the French Revolution.
The reign of terror.
I am satisfied as to your guilt,
Don't move.
being in the company of wanted traitors.
In France now, there are only two sides. You're either with us or against us.
I can't decide whether you're a rogue or a half-wit or both.
How long has he been dead?
Take him! You'll listen to me!
I asked how long he's been dead.
The sentence, immediate execution.
The events will happen just as they're written. We can't stem the tide.
Dispatch for the guillotines.
And welcome back. And we are very pleased to be joined today by two guests. Yes, it's a special, seeing as it's the end of the season. So we have, from the Progtor Who podcast, Mr. Craig Simpson.
Hello there.
And Mr. Bob Fleming.
Hello there. Hello there. I don't know why I did that loads.
Very reserved.
I can't just wait to say
busy
more.
shy, Bob.
More
Give
than,
it a few more drinks. He'll be fine.
say more than hello, so I did several versions of hello.
You need
Well, thank you
it's
for
very
joining
good
us,
to be
lads.
here. Yes, it's very lovely to be here. Thank you.
Yeah,
You should be saying there, Bob.
Excellent.
Yeah? Shut up, Craig.
Yeah, we've done it. Ian, we've done it. We've reached the end. We made it to the end.
This is-
I don't know why everyone makes such a big deal about it. This whole,
No, it's great. It didn't,
going through
didn't
Doctor
take
Who
long at all.
from day one.
What, the end of Doctor Who?
Yeah.
You've
we've
got
done
a
it.
little bit more
That's
to
it,
go,
isn't
lads,
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
What?
How do you mean?
There's a few more episodes after this one of Doctor Who.
Oh, I'll have to have another
You're
check.
over halfway. Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
Oh, right.
There might not have been, though. There might not have been if Verity Lambert's crunch talks with a certain person hadn't have gone as she sort of manipulated.
Yeah. Before we go into our thoughts on this story, I will just say that I think the stuff going on behind the scenes is possibly slightly more interesting than what was going on on the screen.
I put it this way, I definitely enjoyed the info text a lot more.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my
Right.
phone a
Hey.
lot, to be honest, when I was playing on Facebook and it was on the screen.
Now,
That bodes
I'm
well.
gonna stop you all there. So, this is a missing episode. It's not on BritBox, so it doesn't exist. So I don't know what any of you are talking about watching it or infotext, because surely the only way any of us have enjoyed this story is through the Target book.
I started reading the Target book, which was marvellous. But it's big. Ian Mark did it. He used to put quite a lot of effort in to make them longer than normal. So I've had to get
So
a
that
chance to
annoyed
finish. Yeah, it's like these words are really letters are really small. It's like usually like massive letters and 10 pages and you're done. But it was it felt like a bit of an effort. Although it was lovely, I will finish it, but I haven't quite finished it yet.
Did you feel educated afterwards, Bob? Did you feel like you'd learnt about the French Revolution?
I've not finished it yet, so I feel
So
a bit
far.
like failure-ish.
In your mind, Bob, was it as thick as the book on the French Revolution that Susan Foreman was reading?
Oh, yeah.
Way back in episode 1.
And that's because it's the granddad's favourite part of history, so she's clearly brushing up on it.
Yeah.
What's your favourite part of
history?
What sort of psycho says, What's my favourite part of history? I know, the one where they go chopping people's heads off. That's my favourite.
Yeah, the old man that goes around twatting people over the back of the head with spades and vases.
Now, I have a question already. So, if the French Revolution is the Doctor's favourite part of history, why does he go there once and once only and spend pretty much the rest of his time in the 70s and 80s of London?
Yeah.
Well, I imagine he actually just thought, I liked reading about it. You know, you like reading about stuff, but when you go there, it's a bit shit. It's like
never lives up to your expectations,
yeah,
does it?
It's like a holiday.
Are you saying the French Revolution is like Alton Towers or Pleasure Hill?
Yeah, no, I've got. It's more like Scarborough Sea Life Centre when you think you're going to the deep at Hull.
And let's face it, he's never going to beat that costume, is he, with that plume in his hair and his hat? It's like, he's probably thought, I wore my best outfit there, I can't repeat that.
Tell you what, he was ready for Pride that year, wasn't he?
Certainly was. Mardi Gras or what?
Yeah, what a peacock.
He was channeling Maxwell, wasn't he?
Even had his
So
earrings
anyway,
in, didn't he?
before we go any further, should we get the quiz out of the way, folks?
Oh, there's a
Yeah,
quiz.
go on
Let's
then.
do it. Let's do it.
We'll do the quiz and then we can all have some fun afterwards. Because once the quiz is over, it really is the end of term. So, everyone, shout out if you know the answer. I will be able to differentiate you because I have the audio and visual. It's very clever at this end. So, without any further, question 1. Which British novelist and former intelligence officer died of a heart attack at the age of 56 during August 1964?
Ian Fleming.
It was Ian Fleming.
Oh,
I can't believe
he's
it.
got inside info there, hasn't he, Bob
Someone's
Fleming?
got one of my questions right. I don't believe I'm not doing this.
It's obviously
ever
related.
again.
It's in there. It's in the genes, Fleming. That's what it is.
He was my love granddad.
I love Grandad.
I don't know what that means.
No, but I like it.
I think that's where he gives you 10.
I wouldn't type it in on
month,
Google
and
to look it up,
no,
that's for sure.
No. Right.
No. Oh my god.
Question 2. Physically sick. Question 2. August 1964, again, because that's when the story was broadcast. There is a theme. Thursday the 13th of August 1964. In the UK, in Manchester and Liverpool at the same time, something is happening for the last time ever. What is that thing?
The last 2 opium dens to close in the UK.
Is it something to the Manchester Ship Canal?
No, I like your thinking, but no, it isn't.
The end of rationing.
I'm going to put you all out of your misery. It was the last 2 public executions in the UK. It was
That's an obvious one, really, thinking about it now.
a man and a woman who had been arrested for stabbing a laundry truck driver through the heart.
Well, they'll never do that again, will they?
Why?
Why? Well, he's probably
Where's the money
late.
in laundry? It's fucking late. Stabbed him in the heart. Where's my fucking dirty drawer?
I think
drawers,
money
you
laundering
piece of
is
shit.
quite a big thing, actually, but never mind.
Oh, I thought you meant laundry, as in towels and blankets.
Yeah, I thought you meant like
yeah.
dirty pants and that.
Cloths. Right, question 3, fellas. Saturday, August the 22nd, 1964. Which long-running BBC series, which is still running today, was first broadcast?
EastEnders.
No and no.
Top of the Pops.
Question time.
No and no.
15-1.
Antiques Roadshow.
Match of the day.
Mark, what did you just say?
Match of the day.
Mark, you win a fish.
Oh,
That is correct. That is correct. Question 4. You'll like this. What is the Reign of Terror in French?
La Reine of Terror. Mange two.
Mange two, bonnet de douche, Rodney. No. La Reine de la Terreur. Obviously. And question 5. Now, I do apologise for this, but I was really struggling. True or false? I once wrote a science fiction adventure about deadly precipitation that was called The Reign of Terror.
True.
I'd say that's got to be true.
That is true.
Yeah, I got true. Yeah.
That is the sort of thing I used to do when I wrote stuff.
That's a quirky title. I like that, actually. Yeah.
I thought it was great at the time, but then I was having a breakdown. So well done. We have joint winners tonight, Mark and Bob. Well done, guys.
Hey, thanks very much. With 1 out of 5, brilliant.
It's like the old days on Progtor Who, that, Bob.
Yeah, one, if you were lucky.
Right, I suppose we better talk about the Reign of Terror now, aren't we?
Oh,
Can we just do some more quiz questions?
yeah, let's do quiz.
I'll look some up while we're talking. We can have a few more at the end.
It might be a little bit more interesting than they're talking about Reign of Terror. Not that I'm preempting what I'm going to say, but...
Well, I think, so obviously, as I've already said, I've only read the novelisation. I haven't been able to watch it. You guys have, so I want to...
I'll send it to you in the post if...
Oh, no, don't worry about that. It wasn't that good.
I don't mind getting rid of my copy.
You can't give it away.
I don't mind a gap on my shelf.
But what I'm really interested to hear is what you were talking about just then about the behind the scenes stuff. So maybe we could start with that.
Well, basically, on pretty much all the classic DVDs, you have the choice of info text. And to be fair, it especially if the episodes or an adventure's a bit boring, it's really good. It's like it really is good, and it's good stuff as well to put up there. Stuff that you would never have sort of read or heard about, really. It's great. It tells you how many viewers, and things like what's going on behind the scenes and all that production wise, and it's cool little bits about actors, directors, and things like that. It's because I didn't put it on until the animated episodes. It's not on the animated episodes. So I went back and sort of did it again. But yeah, some cool stuff.
Did you watch episodes 1 to 3 twice? Once without info text?
No, I watched 6 with info text and 1 with info text, and then I sort of stopped there.
God, I was going to say you are tough.
That's dedication.
I just don't. But the info text, it does make it different. I always try and put it on classic stuff when it's there and available because you learn a bit more.
Yeah, you do. So and Donald Baverstock was the big cheese at the time, wasn't he?
Yes, that's him.
And he and Verity Lambert were of differing opinions as to how many more episodes of Doctor Who they should commit to.
Was it 4 weeks? 4 more weeks he sort of gave her.
Yeah. So she quite rightly turned around and said, well, we've got professional actors here. You're seriously telling me you want me to ask them to commit to just 4 more weeks and then see how it goes? So
well, I think
it could well have been that this was the last ever Doctor Who.
It could have been. I mean, she was
getting
she started getting the power though now because Doctor Who was becoming a success, particularly with the Daleks and stuff like that. So it was getting successful. So she did have a leg to stand on, so to speak. Thankfully, we owe that woman a lot. We do owe that woman a lot. She fought harder than probably some old bloke would have done at the BBC if they'd have given the producer job to him.
Well, she had a lot to produce. She had a lot to prove, didn't she? Not only did she want a TV
well, that's what
serial.
I mean,
yeah. She was. It probably was. You're right there, Bob. It was a reflection on her, and she had to fight for it. If she'd not done an initial kind of demand to have it repeated at the beginning, the fight for get the Daleks in there. Yeah, this could have been the chop.
Yeah, well, no, literally, I think, like I say, if you didn't have someone that was really wanting to prove himself, and had to being a woman producer in the 60s, it would have failed. And I think having an Indian, gay director as well, in Maurice Hussain, for 2 stories in this season as well, that he had a point to prove, There's a lot of people with points to prove because they thought they'd just put these people to the back, but what they've done is to put these people into a really inventive show, and they made it work. I mean, I know it's not so great now, but if you went back to the 60s and were watching this every week, it would be brilliant. In the context of everything then, you're seeing this whole new sort of historical world. And it's not badly produced. The production isn't too bad.
I think the direction is very good. I mean, we'll get onto the director, I'm sure, at some point, because that's another story.
Yeah,
but
that is a big
it does
story,
look quite filmic in places. It's very impressive.
It does look good. And some of the art as well, like the map and things like that, when they put the map on, and the William Hartnell, not William Hartnell, walking down the country roads and stuff like that. There's some lovely shots. And
that's the first time they did location filming, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A bit fillery though, wasn't it, as well at the same time? I mean, it did look good, but there were bits that were obviously fillers on things like that. Well, they did have 6 episodes to fill, I suppose. Was that? That wasn't.
Plus, of course.
That wasn't Hartnell, was it? Walking down there, or was it? I didn't. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was, but I had to double check that. He couldn't walk that fast.
Was it Naomi Campbell? Naomi Campbell doing that strut. They were doing.
So I didn't even realise it was 6 episodes. I read it yesterday in between doing a bunch of other things. And I was looking out for the 3 cliffhangers. that would coincide with the end of chapters 3, 6, and 9, and that really didn't happen. So,
No.
but it didn't dawn on me that it might conceivably not be a 4-parter. Yeah. So, what was the best cliffhanger?
Oh, blimey.
At the top of my
I suppose
head.
you got the
Don't
doctor,
all
haven't
sigh
you?
at
Trapped in the
once.
burning.
The Doctor Fire,
burning
probably,
building.
the Doctor in the Fire probably is the biggest cliffhanger.
The first one, yeah.
The thing is, I'll be honest with you, right? I couldn't really tell you what was going on.
No, I agree. I agree.
I don't really know who was who and what was what, apart from the main cast. I know who Napoleon, I was going to say Dynamite, Napoleon Bonaparte is. I don't know who anyone else is, so I didn't really have any. I didn't really know. I'll be honest, I didn't really know what was going on. I know he was locked in a cell for 3 episodes, pretty much, wearing some
While he was on holiday in France.
short and long socks.
Ironically.
But yeah, I don't know. You actually, yeah. But I don't know. I don't really know what happens.
I agree with Bob. I think
so,
for historical...
Sort about a guillotine.
Yeah. You ended up feeling you didn't know what it was.
Well, that's why I should have read the full book. Because after you read the book, the TV, when you go back and watch it, makes a lot more sense because you get a lot more from the book, to be honest. The target books, usually. Even the more poor ones, like Marco Polo, for example.
Yeah. But it isn't really... It is about the French Revolution, but it's all just set around that prison, isn't it? You don't really get a feeling of what the French Revolution was. You don't see the revolt of the peasants. You don't really get to see the political... It really just feels like a story with a guillotine in it, set around the idea of the French Revolution. In fact, to be honest...
I suppose it's riffing on the Scarlet Pimpernel, isn't it? And that sort of thing.
I was quite disappointed in it as a historical, because normally the historicals, like Marco Polo or things, you come away feeling you've learned something, but just like Bob, I had to Google what the hell it was all about, because my idea of the Reign of Terror was different to what I was watching.
Well,
I had to watch a documentary on YouTube just to try and remind myself who Robespierre was and all that.
I looked him up as well.
And that was really interesting, and I could have watched that for 2 hours instead of reading the book. Because I think, as you said, Craig, you're right, it's a brilliant period of history, but you're looking at it through a very nuts and bolts logistical point of view. This is where we bang them up, this is where we cut their heads off, and these are 2 guys around the corner in a boulangerie plotting to liberate Paris, and you don't get that perspective and that background of what life is like and what's going on.
And this is Dennis Spooner's first contribution to the show, and if you see his other stuff, it's quite different, isn't it? It lacks that sort of humour.
Well, he became...
I'm thinking of Darren Spooner, which was Jarvis Cocker. Sorry, carry on.
He was a great script editor and Doctor Who, was that Jarvis Cocker.
I'm the master. All right.
I mean, I don't want to sort of do it a misjustice because, like I say, if you watched it at the time, it'd have been, I think, really good. But yeah, there's no proper severity to it, or they're just meandering around at certain little places, and it's a really, really, really grim point of history. So it's it's just a bit. I don't know.
I suppose there is that bit of, you have to think of it as being aimed at primarily children, so I suppose they can't go too dark with it. But that said, I mean, there's the guy that gets beaten to death.
Oh, that's quite gross, isn't it?
After his mate gets shot. That was pretty full on. I know you don't see it happen on screen, but it's still, you know.
There's that, that sort of someone gets shot off screen as well.
Yeah.
And you get, and Hartnell starts twatting everyone with stuff.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
in the labour camp,
Is it?
Yeah.
Could we make an argument that because it is kind of the series or the season finale, they were going a little bit higher stakes, darker, more of a sense of menace, or did it not really work?
It didn't
like
work,
that?
did it?
Was it?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was meant to be the last one of this series.
Right.
I think, or of this one. It should have been.
Well, they certainly recorded more after this, but this was the last one that was shown in that series.
But I think that it should have finished earlier from what Sidney Newman wanted. He wanted it to break from whenever to whenever, but they put it back and they put this one in to finish off series 1. I mean, it was a fucking grueling schedule. Yeah. Recording Doctor Who then. It was all year pretty much, wasn't it? You had a couple of weeks off, then you were back into it again and rehearsing and whatever. And it does fascinate me going back and watching old Doctor Who because it is very much like a theatre play. You know, TV back then was a theatre play, pretty much, wasn't it? And I think it's...
Yeah.
Although it hasn't got the fast-paced direction and camera and quick edits and stuff. It's quite nice sometimes.
Yeah,
having
it's a different.
But there's got to be
feeling,
something going on, and
Craig, I think, had mentioned earlier about it seemed a bit padded and what have you. But I think a lot of that is down to the fact that, like you're saying, it's a theatrical thing, and they're recording it pretty much as live, so they have to have things like film inserts and little sort of asides where you get a couple of characters talking, so that the other actors can rush off to the other stage, so they're ready for their cue when they switch to the camera on that other set.
Oh, this was when they were in the like really small studios as well before they got to move to
Lime Grove. Yeah, and this is Studio G, which apparently was like a really long, thin rectangle.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what
the
it must
prison
have been
looked
like
good
trying
in there,
to build
didn't
sets
it?
in there.
You can imagine the prison being filmed. It did look good.
Well,
yeah. I thought they did well in all aspects of it, really. From a production level, nothing looked shit.
No,
do you know what I mean? Because there was no daft monsters, and BBC do historicals quite well anyway.
Yeah. And I bet in colour those costumes would look stunning.
There's on the DVD there's some extras of some colour photos. Right. And it does look. It looks amazing. If you'd have colorised this and done a bit more to it and all that, I think it'd have paid off a little bit more for it. But it's money, isn't it? So
it just felt to me that what they did was they took aspects of the French Revolution, like they did the guillotine, and they did Napoleon, they did Robespierre, and they did the prison, and they just stuck at that. And I think they didn't really go beyond that into the detail, because I know I didn't know much about the French Revolution, still don't, because this didn't tell me anything. And at the end, during part 4, when I was writing some things down, I did just put down a lot of treachery in this. And backstabbing, and literally when I finished, just like you did, Ian, I kind of Googled a few things and one of the things is like, there's a lot of backstabbing and a lot of treachery, and I thought, well, they've obviously took this but done nothing with it. And especially if you think about this is aimed at kids, like you said before, Mark, they're never going to have understood what was going on. Give them this or the Daleks and what they're going to go with.
But do you think it's the lack of exposition a little bit in it?
Yeah, I think it just needed a more coherent storyline going through. It's like Bob, you said, I didn't know who anyone was half the time, and I couldn't always differentiate the characters that much. It was like, who's he again? What's he doing? So
I am having a little bit of a flashback to when we talked about the Aztecs.
Oh, yeah.
Back along. And I think we kind of came to the conclusion that a lot of stuff that wasn't explicitly said was because quite a bit of what they would be covering might be in the curriculum at schools at that time. Right. So people would just kind of know about that stuff.
Well, there was one part of the Reign of Terror, the episode 6, when my information text came on. Now, I don't know the full facts of it, but basically there was a complaint made by a history teacher in regards to it, because kids were arguing with him that, no, you're wrong, sir, this happened. So he had to put a complaint in, and I think the BBC had to respond to say, sorry, whatever, because the kids were adamant. You're lying. You're full of shit, sir. I don't care. It was on Doctor Who.
My son's in year 1 at primary school, and they were covering the Great Fire of London. And
visitation.
We were talking about some of the facts that he'd learnt, and he was reading off all these facts. And I said, of course, the Doctor was there as well, because he hasn't seen any of the programmes, but he likes the Mr. Men Doctor Who books.
Yes.
So I said to him, yeah, Dr. Fifth, he lost his sonic screwdriver there.
Yeah.
And my wife turns around and said, don't go telling him that, because he'll be telling the teachers to school.
Drawing pictures of it on the wall.
Yeah. There's documentary footage online. Yeah. So the only kind of historical stuff that I picked up on from the kind of tail end of the book would have been Robespierre being shot in the face and dragged to the guillotine.
Yeah.
Which is real and did happen. So I don't know
it did.
I don't know what they'd have been arguing about with the teacher, unless it was the involvement of the Doctor.
it was the involvement. No, it was the involvement. I think it was something to do with Napoleon shouldn't have been there.
Okay.
To do with time, the timeline.
Yeah, that was probably just made up for expediency.
Yeah, of course it was, because you kind of know who he is, don't you, Napoleon Dynamite?
It was a twist I wasn't expecting, if I'm being honest. So I'm reading this book yesterday, and there's this obvious baddie called Le Maître, and I look up what that is in French, and it's the master. So I'm thinking, hang on. I'm thinking, hang on, is this tall, dark, saturnine, brooding man going to turn out to be a renegade Time Lord, but no, he wasn't.
No, you were being way too optimistic there with this story.
Oh man,
Doesn't it turn out to be
That would have been way more exciting.
Jeff Sterling or something? Jeff Sterling?
My Ainley was twitching. Can I rephrase that? That's come out.
I've never heard you call it that before.
No, Ian, you can't. It was perfect as it was.
Yeah, I like that.
I bet you did.
That's what he said.
But it's, I mean, I think like what you're saying is that with the infotext on, sorry to go back to that, but there was so much going on behind the scenes. Just every little thing. I've never seen so much infotext put on you.
Well, the director had a...
Oh, he had an absolute nightmare. Well, basically, he was a foreign, wasn't he? He's a bloody foreign. And Arnold doesn't like
Hungarian,
foreigners.
Wasn't he?
He doesn't like foreigners, Arnold, does he? He doesn't like foreigners or Jews, I think, Hartnell.
I think his problem was Hartnell's problem, as far as I can tell, the way they explained it. Whether this is true or not, I don't know. But it was a very inexperienced crew they had. So the director, this was his first TV.
It was, yeah.
His second in command was Tim Coombe, who went on to do a lot of stuff in Doctor Who later. Yes. But that was his first assistant job. And everyone else at that level, this was their first job. And I think if he got the impression that people weren't quite sure what they were doing, that would set him off.
It took him to have a medically quite a serious medical ailment in the form of some sort of collapse or heart attack or something for Hartnell to go, all right, I'll give him the benefit of that. Because Hartnell, he is known for being racist and anti-Semitic and that kind of stuff. And he is, and it's of the time, and it is sad, but it's of the time. And I think it was, like you're saying, his frustration with being surrounded by a lot of new people, so he kind of knew better, being an experienced actor, but also the foreign thing, because he was like, I don't understand what you're saying. And, he blatantly did, and things like that. He just...
Do you think he would have even complained about the story being set in France, because he wouldn't have liked the French?
It wouldn't have surprised me.
The French were on our side.
We're taking back control. Why are we doing this in France?
Yeah, he'd have voted Brexit. He's a proper Tory. But yeah,
I think Carol Ann Ford, she said that she found him quite difficult to work with the director.
I think everyone did, because he, like you're saying, he's brand new. And then he had this sort of collapse or whatever it was, and he was not very well.
Was he quite an old man then, or what?
I don't know. I don't know. But he came back. I think it was just the stress,
right?
Because he's only done theatre, and he's come and done this whole thing of Doctor Who, which is crazy, isn't it? Doctor Who for anybody, let alone a new director.
Well, when you bear in mind, a director back then, it wasn't just a case of pointing the camera and telling the actors what to do. He had to come up with a camera plan. And they're these massive cameras that you were really cumbersome to move around, and you had to have that absolutely bang on, because they couldn't waste time resetting the shot, because they couldn't edit unless it was really necessary, and they had only a very small amount of studio time. So he was under pressure to get all of that done, plus all the sort of more artistic stuff that he was probably better at. So I think it came to the point where Tim Coombe came to him and said, look, I appreciate you're under a lot of pressure. Why don't we divvy up the
that was after he had
work, and I'll help you out.
That's what it was after he had his little incident. And then
from then on, I think it was plain sailing.
Well, he took it on board, and he said to Hartnell, he said, look, the man is so stressed, he's sent him bad, so give him a break. And to be fair to Hartnell, he did, and apparently he was... Everyone was lovely after that. It was a much happier. The last 2 episodes, apparently, everyone was loads happier. It went loads better. Things like that. So it came good in the end. But I think everyone would concur. They were fucking pleased to see the back of the Reign of Terror. And it concluded.
Well, maybe a large part of it, they must have been running on empty, having been, rehearsing and recording for almost 12 months at this point.
Well, that's what I didn't realise. They rehearsed 4 days. And then recorded on the Friday.
Yeah.
That's mental, isn't it? 4 days of rehearsal.
You've never rehearsed in your life, have you, Bob?
Did you hear the rehearsal room was an absolute nightmare?
I really haven't. No. I put a band together to do 2 hours of music without rehearsal, and it was fine.
Well, then it got
better. So they rehearsed in a territorial army place, and the roof was leaky as hell. So they had all these little pots and pans everywhere. and that was driving Hartnell crazy, and the director as well. So I think they managed to relocate to another.
That sounds really
place
method. If most of what they're rehearsing is going to be set in the conciergerie, then that sounds like a perfect dismal, drippy, horrible, rat-infested nightmare.
They don't need any
grief
sound
hole.
effects added in, do they? Just let it pour down in the background.
Yeah, right.
I must admit, I can't imagine Hartnell doing method. That's for sure. Fucking hell.
But there's even kind of problems with her character, isn't there? Because one thing that really struck me with this is like it's all about Susan, as you said, reading the French, the book at the very first one. Barbara's a history teacher, and there's that scene where she's like, "Let's get the physician, let's get the doctor, he'll sort it out." And obviously at that time period, the science was terrible, so you knew full well he was going to say, "I'm going to go and get the leeches."
Yeah.
And then they looked horrified by it. It was like, you're a history teacher. It's common sense knowledge that. I was quite surprised by that little bit of... I mean, I know they weren't as joined up on the thinking then, but it just seemed to really... Susan had gone from this really intelligent young woman to someone... I know she was poorly.
But I think it's one thing saying something or reading something, than actually experiencing it. A bit like getting your intestines removed, I imagine.
I imagine that's very
new
different to
feature on the
reading
show
about
this
it.
week.
Yeah.
This is called Getting Thoracic Surgery with Bob Fleming. Bob, carry on.
Yeah, so it's like you can read about it, think, oh, that's pretty bad, and then you get it done to you, or see someone get it done to them. Imagine that. Imagine seeing someone, Craig, get the intestines removed.
Well, yeah, I've seen...
Imagine it, Craig.
I've seen Hannibal. Have you never seen that film when he chucks him out the window and he says, up or down?
I must have missed a chapter. I'm going to go and read the novelisation again.
It was
his
on the
18 certificate, isn't it, Ian?
It was on the infotext, Ian. Something about that analogy.
No wonder the poor sword had a heart attack.
You might have mistaken the intestines as an inflatable bubble going up and down with a bit of foam around the outside. That's what they usually use.
Errata.
My favourite balloon as a child at my 6th birthday.
Ian made the mistake a few episodes ago of saying that the story we were talking about was definitely Susan's worst story.
And now?
Now, we told him at the time, you want to keep your powder dry there, son, because there's worse to come, and I think this has got to be the worst.
This was my question, is how did she handle? How was she in this?
Well, I didn't mind Susan. I thought she acted having that.
Screamy.
That scene where she was kind of in the cart being taken to the guillotine and she's obviously poorly. I at least noticed she was acting at that point because she was different to how she was in episode 1 or 2. I didn't understand why she was acting like that until the next episode, but at least you could tell a difference. Give us some credit.
But I think you've got Jacqueline Hill and you've got William Russell. Ian and Barbara are fucking brilliant actors. Yeah. Are just brilliant. I just think they're really good. I always enjoy them. Barbara is genuinely a strong, independent woman, kind of thing. Ian he's kind of.
I find Ian irritating.
Good. Oh, at last.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Here we go.
I don't like Ian at all. He's just a know-it-all. He's just a smug.
He's a smug, pompous, arrogant tosser,
him.
mansplaining his way.
Well, everyone knows an Ian like that, don't they?
I was down the British Legion last week with William Russell, Craig. Yeah, and I was having a few pints. He was very complimentary of your work, Ian. I'll pass on your regards next time I see him.
He's a really lovely guy, but he's pompous and arrogant. But no,
Bob,
I don't like
I'm
him.
with you. Ian's a flipping hero.
I like him. Yeah, he's good.
No.
I mean, I must admit, all right, Purvis or Steven Tyler or Ian Chesterton.
I've not seen much of Steven Tyler, but at least he had that shit American accent in that Dalek story, didn't he? So I'll give him
Yeah. I mean, I've not seen. I know I've seen one story with Steven Taylor, and I will take him over Ian Chesterton. But it's no bearing on William Russell. It's purely the writing. In the same way that I don't blame Carol Ann Ford for what she did. She's just trying to operate.
Scream at everything. Scream.
She probably was asking the director, "Look, am I 6? Am I 20? Am I, what? How? Where do I pitch this?
Am I hamming it up enough?"
Yeah.
You're 100. You're 135. That's how old apparently she was in this. Yeah. Apparently.
Right. Okay.
Barbara, I've got all the time of day for Barbara. I like her very much.
Oh,
she's very caring, very intelligent, very strong, independent woman, and it's great to see. I think
she's got lovely hair.
She does have lovely hair.
I think it was Verity Lambert on screen. I think that was kind of...
Yeah.
And probably Jacqueline Hill went down that road of thinking, wow, she's amazing, doing all this up against all
Jackie
this.
Hill was busy mates with her, wasn't she?
Doesn't surprise me. It's pretty much rated on the screen, and I think it like that.
I was just thinking about it. I could quite happily go out for coffee and cake with Barbara. And just go for a coffee shop and have a cake with her. I bet she'd be lovely to chat with, actually.
Well, now, what sort of cake would that be?
Oh, lemon drizzle.
A lemon drizzle. Oh, good man. Good. Actually, Craig, I'm rapidly discovering you're my spirit animal. We have
absolutely.
We have very similar views on cake and Ian Chesterton. So
yeah, it's not allowed. You're not really allowed to say you don't like Ian, but I say it.
Oh, I'm saying it too. We should say it together over maybe some lemon drizzle cake. I'm just putting
definitely. I kind of get where you're coming from, but he has to sort of play the sort of kind of hero, because the Doctor isn't the hero. The Doctor is a pernickety pain in the arse a lot of the time.
But so's Ian.
Oh yeah. I think it's just, I'm trying to find some positives, Craig. That's all it is.
They need Ian. I know they need him to be as he is, but it's just about the way he's acted. It's his expressions. You want to smack him quite often.
He's got a very slappable face, hasn't he? You really want.
He's got a really slappable face. Oh. And it's more realistic. Yeah, definitely.
William Russell's
and
lovely,
it's the way he's trying to be so
lovely.
paternal with them all. It's like, but I know it's a reflection of the time. It's like, leave them alone.
He's properly bagging them both.
Not if she's 16. Well,
135, Craig. 135.
Well, even that's disgusting. That.
Also, I hear Gallifrey's like
Granny
Texas.
porn.
You can marry them at 13, apparently. I don't know. I just made that up, and it's a complete lie.
Just like in the Trobriand Dials.
Now, Ian, because you read the book rather than experiencing the program,
you
won't have heard the music, which was composed by Stanley Myers, who I think this was his only contribution to Doctor Who.
Right.
But he went on to have an absolutely amazing career. Did you see this, Bob, on the old info text?
No.
He must have left this off his CV.
So he did, of the minor things, he did the theme tune to Question Time, the BBC show.
Minor? That's amazing.
Yeah. But then he went on to he did a lot of collaborations with Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer! Wow.
Who's had a little brush with Doctor Who himself. But his greatest piece is Cavatina, which is the song from The Deer Hunter.
Oh, that's nice. Right. That's a nice piece of music. Nice bit of guitar on there, Bob. Even I like a guitar on that.
Wow. Craig.
And he did the soundtrack for Prick Up Your Ears as well. And Wish You Were Here.
Prick Up Your Ears, I've not seen
so he had quite a varied career.
So what was the music like in the Reign of Terror? Did we like it, guys? Or?
It's pretty good. There's
alright.
It was awful.
Yeah, some nice little plays on the Marseillaise and all that kind of thing.
It was like,
they did do some obvious cheese.
Yeah.
In little parts. Oh, yeah. It wasn't. What I always think about the music of Doctor Who or anything really is how much like Murray Gold, you fucking notice it. Oh, yeah. He has everything. He has every instrument known to man playing at high volumes. And I'm not knocking Murray Gold because he did some fantastic stuff, but he was very overbearing. Whereas I think if you don't notice it, it adds to the atmosphere. I don't think it was anything really, because it didn't add to anything, because it's still boring.
It didn't give you any tension, did it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's what music has to do. It kind of has to create attention.
Yeah.
Or be like a bit like Sea Devils, be a bit weird.
Yeah.
Or, like, fucking, what was that? What? And you still can't get used to it ever. The many times you watch the Sea Devils, you can never.
But that's part of the charm, isn't it? As well?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. You'll never hear anything like that again, or you don't understand. Your ears don't understand such weird noises.
So are you saying this was a more boring story than the Censorites?
Oh wow, that's interesting.
I wouldn't go that far.
The thing is, it's not bad. It's not bad. Production's not bad. Script's not bad. Execution, it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's just dull.
It's just lacking a bot spark, isn't it?
Yeah, it needs some momentum. It needs some continuity.
I watched this today one day. If I watched it
gee whiz, God, Bob.
I always, if I watched it once a week on a little telly with my family in the 60s, it'd probably be all right.
Yeah.
It'd be probably decent. And then that's kind of how I think you have to sort of look. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love, like Harlan era, love the Daleks. Fucking brilliant. Dalek Invasion of Earth, brilliant. War Machines, brilliant. There's loads of stuff that is brilliant. and they can do it, and they can do whatever. But there's still there's a lot of television to make and write scripts for and bring together, and it's not fucking horror. And it's not coming.
Well, I think you're seeing one of the reasons why they eventually phased out the historicals, just because obviously kids at the time were wanting Daleks and monsters and stuff, and they weren't really wanting.
But I think you have to. I think
kind of stuff.
There was no real. I think this was the last historical, and correct me if I'm wrong, where they couldn't interfere in stuff. The historicals where the Doctor becomes the cause are more interesting.
Yes.
Like the Mary Celeste. Yeah. And it sort of continues that. But this was the last one, I think, where they went. I know they say that you can't interfere with stuff and so there's no real menace or.
Yeah, I kind of picked up on that reading the book, that all the Doctor and the TARDIS crew are there to do is just escape and leave history to do its own thing. And that was very different to what the show became, obviously. But reading it back, I think, to be honest, when I was listening to you guys and I kind of twigged that it was a 6-parter, I suddenly thought, oh, that must have been really quite slow then, and maybe it was just.
It was.
At no point.
Did you enjoy the novel, Ian?
I did. There were a lot of errors in it. But I work in publishing, so I pick up on that kind of thing. All I'm saying is, if I worked for Penguin Random House, I would hang my head in shame. But it was. So I was very confused that Iain Marter kept describing the Doctor as a Time Lord as well. I don't know what that means, or.
Well, there was a few bits in it. He was saying there was. He kept saying they're speaking French as well and things like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. So what happened to the TARDIS translates if they're all having to?
Well, that was only in the book. That wasn't in.
They're all very RP in the.
They're all northern. A lot of them are northern, like northern English.
Jailers northern.
Well, they managed to pronounce guillotine as the guillotine or whatever. They do
guillotine.
That guillotine. They do that right. Yeah.
So they know one word in French accent, and the rest of it is that's fantastic.
Yeah. They just sort of go, he's gonna have a blast on guillotine. All right, jailer. So there's none of that in the thing. It's just the Marta adding bits and pieces to it.
Right.
Is he a good writer?
As
in, I know there was mistakes, but that's the editor who should be.
I think very much in common with most of the other Target writers. It's when you're 10 or you're 12 and you're reading it, it's absolutely brilliant, but it's a little bit kind of cliched and histrionic and slightly over the top, and there are better, but it's certainly not one of the worst. It's not one of those Terrance Dicks, I wrote this in slightly less time than it's taken you to read it kind of books.
I wrote it on a bus journey over.
Yeah. I like his stuff.
I like those as well.
It's nice and easy, and I love his work. I love his. It's like you say, if you're a kid, it's so well explained and everything. It's so it's on a plate for you. But so his scripts and the pacing of his scripts and everything like that. He is Mr. Just how this is what it is.
He's Mr.
Economy, doesn't he?
Yeah. He'll put a few little quirkies in and things like that. Who is your favourite target novel writer? Do you have a one that you would?
Oh wow!
Big question.
That's an amazing question.
Thanks, Ian.
So the ones that stand out for me are obviously Ian Briggs and Ben Aronovich. Eric Pringle's adaptation of The Awakening I thought was really good.
Yes.
And Eric Saywood's Twin Dilemma is a good book.
Eric Saywood is great. I read it. I've just read his Revelation of the Daleks.
Right.
Resurrection's not great, but Revelation of the Daleks is.
No, I can vouch for
I
that.
think he's a great writer. In fact, we've just done The Visitation, so we've just done a bit of Eric Saywood stuff.
Fantastic.
And he's a grumpy man, but aren't we all? But he is for me, he's a great writer. He's a great writer, and he kind of has these. Not morals, but he's just stand up for himself, which is why he got sacked off the show. They got the amazing Pip and Jane Baker in to finish off the Trial of the Time Lord. But he is. There's not a bad. He didn't write a bad story. He had a lot to put with being script editor on the fucking Trial of the Time Lord and Colin Baker and things. But his novel's a good. Slipback. That's a good little...
Slipback was brilliant. It was very Douglas Adams, especially on the printed page. It was really good.
It was, and he's a great writer.
I think the most off-putting Target books were who wrote The Crusade? Was that David Whitaker?
Oh, yes, it was.
So when I was about 10, I think I got that one, and I thought, well, this is like longer than the Bible and slightly smaller print. And I'll be honest, I didn't finish it. I didn't get much beyond about page 5. That one was hard work. What about you guys? Any other names leap to mind?
I just love Terrance Dicks.
I'm a Terrance Dicks boy, without a doubt.
Just because I know what you're saying, but it's there. It's well written. It's basically like a manual with a few little extras in. You know, them screws that you don't quite know where they go. And it's a great. He does it just and it's just nice and easy.
Who did Moonbase?
Was that Jerry Davis?
Yes, that was a really. I was looking. That was a really good book. I enjoyed reading that. That was a good novelisation. But Terrance Dicks.
We read Marco Polo. We did Marco Polo recently on Progtor Who. I didn't mind the book. What is he called? John
Licarotti.
Licarotti.
That's Licarotti, whatever. Yeah, he he wrote that book, but it is just basically a manual to the show. Yeah. So for me, it really helped because I couldn't watch the telly stuff. I had no idea what was going on. But I read that. Craig really struggled with it. I read it in I don't know, 2 or 3 hours or something. Then watched it, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." Now I know Marco Polo. I can't say I know the Reign of Terror. I think I will finish the Target novel, but I think what I'm noticing more. It's good to read a Target novel, then watch.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
The show, that's what I'm trying to do in future, because, I don't know, it's kind of like, this sort of instruction manual too. Yeah. What you might not quite know what's going on. Yeah. Particularly in Hartnell and early stuff. And it's good to see.
Gives you a different perspective.
Well, if it's written
by you know it well. There's definitely an understanding to it, because I did it that way around as well, and I wouldn't have read the book had I have watched the telesnaps first, but having read the book, I enjoyed the program better. Yeah, you do feel you know what's going on completely.
Yeah, it's just like this, and I like, I don't know, like I'm now collecting all the Target novels. That's my new thing, because I'm a collector. I love collecting stuff apparently, but also I'm not a hoarder, so I don't know how that works.
You collect it, you're happy, then you bin it.
That's exactly what I did with my Target books, but let's not.
Yeah. I got myself a little deal here, but I got 26 of them for £2 a piece.
You did well,
to fill the collection, because usually they're about £8 now on eBay. Yeah. They were £1.50 when they came out. But for me, I think what it is 50p. Well, the author has got the license now to tell the story, and if they're a good writer, I don't mean just script writer, but I mean writer. It's good. It's great to read them because you get their sort of vision of what they were wanting to do. I find it sometimes a bit of a struggle when you've got someone else writing something that's missing, from a script, and I don't know. Target novels are fucking brilliant. They were our videos or whatever as kids, and we didn't have them.
Very much so.
I mean, the first page and a half of the Reign of Terror novelisation is basically just Iain Marter explaining that the TARDIS materialises, but he does it in a very poetic, dark and stormy night, eldritch screaming of ancient motors, and it's the most poetic and wonderful bit, and sadly by far the best bit of writing in the whole book. And then once bloody Chesterton turns up and the others, it's just. But
the TARDIS materialises without any sound, doesn't it, in the TV programme, which I noticed that.
Did it?
Well, it was the first materialisation of the full-size TARDIS, apparently.
Yeah, no sound. It's good. Different.
Wow. That got to be worth having a drink for, the first materialisation.
I love that sound.
Oh, down in what?
But the first materialisation and no sound. Yes, Craig, that's quite right. Fourth wall broken. Fourth wall is broken in this by some random fucking dude just staring at the camera like that, talking into it about something to do with French revolutions. There's the fourth wall is broken this, and there's no reason why. I think it comes back to an inexperienced director again. But that was a bit weird, I found.
I thought that was
Not
something
that you would have
that
seen the
Tom
fourth wall
Baker
broken,
invented.
obviously, in the book. Well, Tom Baker can kind of get away with this. This was just some random member of the sort of... I don't even know. He was only once. He was only once to break the fourth wall and piss me off. And take me...
Was that in the
And
credits?
incidentally, to all of you at home, don't lose your head.
yeah. It was literally like that. It was very weird.
Yeah. An interesting story, but yeah, it was one... I was glad when the rolling credits went up for episode 6.
Was there anyone who stood out for you guys from the guest cast that you thought, they're pretty good?
I thought the jailer was like someone from Carry On film. He reminded me, I don't remember the name. It was like, when he first came, I was like, I recognise you. I don't think it is him, but yeah, no, the jailer made me giggle quite a bit, actually.
I quite like
And the lad was such a lame actor. Good God,
that was a shit. What a shit little actor he was.
Yeah, he
In a
was really
shit
bad.
little wig. It looked like your hair, Ian. To be fair,
Good
in the
grief.
just with a bit more product in it. That's what it looked like. It was, but he was a terrible actor. That little child, worst actor in it, to be honest with you. And also, I quite like the tailor. The tailor was cool. The little sneaky tailor.
He
was
the first
alright.
one to do the backstabbing.
Backstabbing little bastard. I've got a rig. It was all. The thing is, it was all full of this backstabbing stuff. But I don't think they just did it that justice they could have done. No. It could have been a proper sort of not thriller, but
really intrigue, political drama.
Intrigue, like all interlaced and just all awesome. It could have been, but saying it now in 2020, different back then, isn't it? Especially when you got all this shit going on behind the scenes as well.
I think, so the kind of obvious big cultural, I'm going to use the word shibboleth, I'm very sorry, but is Les Miserables, which obviously this is kind of creeping around the margins of. And when you think what that generally manages to achieve in the running time it normally gets, you do get a much more broad and kind of strated version of what was happening and songs.
More bias. More...
bloody revolution. So I don't know if the guy...
That's what it was lacking, was more songs, Ian. I think if they put more songs in the Reign of Terror...
If William Hartnell had done Master of the House, that would have been... Or if Lemaitre had done Lemaitre
the jailer could have done a good one of those.
Yeah, I'm going to bang you up tonight, something like that.
I'm going to bang you up tonight.
So, I mean... Presumably, and actually, who wrote this? Who wrote the scripts for this?
Derek Spooner.
Dennis
Spooner. Derek.
That's right.
Oh my God,
so
Derek.
Would he have gone away and reread Tale of Two Cities as part of his homework for this, do we think?
No.
Because it does...
maybe they did at the time actually know that story better than they do today. Maybe that was more read more commonly.
That goes back to what we were saying, wasn't it, Mark, about it would have been part of the kids' syllabus then, maybe, whereas, by the time I got to school in history, you learn about the First World War, the Second World War, and the period in between, and that's pretty much your lot. So, it just sounds like a really minimalistic view of the French Revolution. Which is a shame, because especially if this is the last historical.
He did enough to... it's not the last pure historical, but it's the last historical where the Doctor doesn't interfere.
Right.
In it. That's basically what it is. But I just think... he did enough to become script editor. Did Derek Spooner, and he was not bad at doing the script editing, from what I can gather. He's just... I don't know. I'm pleased to do this podcast with you guys because you're lovely. And if the excuse has to be the Reign of Terror, bring it on.
Can I be invited back for a more exciting one at some point? Give it a couple of decades in terms of which you get to put.
Craig, what's your sweet spot of Doctor Who? What's your favourite era?
To be honest, I love them. I do love all of them, really, with the exception of the Hartnell era, which I just don't really massively gel with. But I kind of was deeply in love with it in the Baker, Peter Davison era, where we've been recently watching. That kind of late Tom Baker, early Peter Day, well, all Peter Day's 23-year era, isn't it? So that was when I really loved it. And then I began to get with Colin Baker a bit mixed, and I didn't watch Sylvester McCoy on first transmission.
Oh, well, he's terrible, isn't he?
No, he's fantastic. No, he is fantastic, but I learnt that in hindsight I'd made a mistake.
Come on then, lads. You're staring two gingers here. Beware of the rage.
I said that because I know that you and Ian both are quite big.
But no, to be fair, with Craig, whatever at the time, and I think a lot of people were like that with McCoy.
Yeah.
You went back and rewatched it all after I did the interview with Andrew Cartmel, didn't you?
Yeah. Yes.
And you were like, I've no idea what the fuck I was on about. This is
I was completely wrong. It is season 26 is some of the best Doctor Who ever. You know, I love Sylvester McCoy now.
25 and 26. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think at the time, it was probably the age I was at, I found season 24 just embarrassing to watch.
Yeah, I did.
I had to go into a separate room to watch. I couldn't watch it with my parents because it was like
25 and 26. Now we must all agree are some of the best Doctor Who we've ever seen.
I think 25 and 26, when they were broadcast, they were brilliant. They still are brilliant.
They were amazing.
But you were right, 24. I was what, 10, 11 or whatever when that aired, and I was really embarrassed, and I thought I could do better than this, and I'm 11. Yeah.
And I loved it. I mean, I think I was 8 or 9. Slightly younger, slightly in that bit where anything could be on TV that's to do with Doctor Who, and I would have fucking just loved it, and I did.
Yeah.
You know, in hindsight, Tyler Rowley is terrible. There's no way of getting around that. But I love the tech traps.
I like it.
I loved certain little bits that, and
I love the ginger wig.
Yeah, and I kind of love little parts about it, but it's not great. But they do start getting there. It starts its journey in 24 after you got the time in the Rani. With the writers he's bringing in, and it becomes just something that.
I mean, as soon as he
goes back to this.
As soon as he steps out of the TARDIS in Paradise Towers Part 1, he's nailed it. It's there. Yeah. He's got it, and it's just incredible. Anyway, so the upshot of all this, guys, is that when Mark and I get round to talking about the Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy era, we'll bring you back. So that's going to be about 8 years from now.
8 years, something like that.
Stay by your phone.
Too long.
Yeah. The thing about the thing about Perry's tits is you can't say that anymore, Bob. What? Bloody PC gone mad.
Have we got anything else we want to say about the Reign of Terror before we give it a mark out?
No, but if we're going to talk about Perry's breasts, I've got a small volume of poetry that I've written. I wrote it when I was 9. Then. No, best not. Oh God, who was it? There is a really famous poem by someone that's called, for the sake of argument, it's called Claudia's Breasts, and the whole poem is something like, "Oh Claudia, you're really nice. When I look at your breasts, I want to put my face there." It's in the Norton Anthology of Poetry. It's someone we studied at university, and I was like, really? That's a poem? Wow. Nowadays, of course, you look at some of the things that get published in the name of poetry, and you think, yeah, that's fair enough. Anyway, sorry, Mark, I've gone down a cul-de-sac. So yeah,
I think that sums up that we don't have anything more to say about the Reign of Terror.
Twin Peaks. Though,
shall we give it a mark out of 10?
Twin Peaks, amazing. Sorry,
let's do we'll do Twin Peaks after.
Let's just do Twin Peaks. Yeah.
I am gonna come to Bob first while he's having a drink. What are you going to give this out of 10?
I think a 6, because, 6.
That's quite generous.
Because all the shit going on behind the scenes, they put something on telly that's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad. And it's probably better than average if you take into account everything that was on. I didn't not enjoy watching it. It's one I think we'll go back and read the book to gain probably a lot more from it. But yeah, 6. I think it deserves a 6 out of 10.
Okay. All right. And Craig?
I didn't really enjoy watching it. I don't really feel I gained anything from it or kind of know anything more about the French Revolution. So I'm nowhere near as optimistic as Bob on that, which is unusual for me. I'm just going to go with a 3.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's okay. I've only ever watched this once, and I can say I'll probably never watch it again unless I'm ever invited back to. And to be fair, I'll probably just get my notes out and read them to avoid the pain.
Okay, well, okay, that's fair enough. I'm probably going to go somewhere in between, so I'm going to go for a 4. I think it was, as Bob said, considering all the stuff that was going on in the background and what they had to contend with, it looks great. The sets are very good. I think the cast is generally pretty decent.
But that little shit.
As we were saying, it just lacked that bit of a spark.
That little
really.
wanker at the beginning, he was terrible at that time. Stupid wig.
He always speaks really highly of you.
That was Eric Saywood in that wig. Yeah.
What you don't know was that little boy grew up to be Iain Mark.
Oh, did he? Yeah, that's why he got into publishing, because he couldn't fucking act.
How old would that make
So I'm going to give it a 4.
How much do I sue you?
Ian, what's your score?
So, and I'm basing it purely on the story and the book, not on the production at all.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That's great, though. That's good.
I would say it's a fairly uninspired, run-of-the-mill kind of get locked up, escape kind of flimsy story. I'd give this a 5, I guess. Again, I don't think it's poor.
Okay.
I don't think it's bad. I don't think anything we've seen in the whole of the first season of Doctor Who has been bad. But this feels like they're kind of running on empty.
But I think what else can you do? I know to say with Marco Polo, it's running and escaping. But what you have to add, writing any script or book or whatever, you have to add that element of something's going to happen, and that's all that can happen. There's not a lot else that can happen, really, when you try to do this.
For me and Ian, at least, in Marco Polo, there was enough going on to make you want to go back and.
Well, Marco Polo was.
I think I gave that 3 as well.
He did as well. He did actually, Craig. But it was with Marco Polo. There was something different. So although it was a similar sort of whatever they're doing, they're moving on and whatever, you've got this sort of arc. You've got they're going somewhere different every episode.
Yeah, different locations, isn't it?
And all that, and I quite like I particularly like the Doctor and Kubla Khan or whatever he's called. And
that was great.
I've got a bit of gout. What you got? I got fucking crabs. I've been shagging round time and all that. But I love that little interplay they have of this thing of getting old. There's loads of lovely little things in Marco Polo that make it kick on and work. You don't get that in this. And they should have gone down the real, like we said before, this is a fucking horrific point in time. At least show it. I know you haven't got the budget to show all the things you want to show, but at least have some horrible bastards. Make a point, these are horrible bastards who will fucking sell you down the river like that. You don't really get that. You only get that from the tailor, really, who comes and shows the ring and all that kind of thing. You don't get that anywhere else, I don't think.
You've got the guy in the stripy jacket who you think is going to be a good guy and turns out to be
but it's not.
Turncoat,
it doesn't it's not done with any severity, is it? It's not like
no.
And it's all just there in that one episode, isn't it? It's all contained. Then it just moves on back to trying to get out of the prison and this that, and the other.
Yeah.
And they do like to go back to that prison a fucking lot.
They do. They like the cell. They like the set.
They paid a lot of money for that
again.
set. They want to use it.
Want to go back in and escape from it again. And this is cool.
Anyway, that's enough of what we think about it. We're going to go for some feedback now and to hear what you guys thought about the Reign of Terror.
I've got mail.
So now it's time to hear what you guys think about this story. So I've got the first bit of feedback here. It's from David Kitchen from the Doctor Who show. And they say, it's perfectly fine, but weaker than the historicals around it. I think its big problem is the lack of a quality villain, like Tigana, Clotoxel, Elakir, etc. Also easily Susan's worst story. Her unwillingness to run from the execution cart because she's unwell was pathetic. Well, there you go. Thank you, David. Ian, what have you got there?
I just want to on that comment from David. We've all felt so wretched at times that we literally can't get up and run. We've all had PE when we're really hungover, surely. Anyway, so it might just be an Essex thing. So the feedback I have is from a gentleman called Paul Quinn, whose Twitter handle, confusingly, is Paul_L_Quinn, which is like, wow, you'd never know it was the same dude.
That blew your mind.
Yeah, he writes in, it's an odd one. farce abutting brutally in a disorientating manner, but it's pointing forward to the same model as used in the Romans and the Mythmakers. It does show just how flexible the format was during the first 3 years of the programme. If I recall, Iain Mark is quite explicit in describing Robespierre as having his jaw shot off, but I may be conflating that with Simon Sharma's description of Robespierre's lower jaw being torn off when his bandage was removed prior to his being guillotined. But Martyr is quite brutal in his novelisations. See his description of the unit agent's brains splattering across a consignment of eggs in the invasion, and the beach attack at the start of Enemy of the World, and he was the first person to include swearing in a Doctor Who book. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but it was in...
What?
Yeah,
What?
he wrote a book called Doctor Who and a fucking exciting adventure with the Daleks, and
that's not true.
No.
No.
I wish it was fucking true. I'm kind of wishing that was true.
I do agree very much with what Paul has to say there, and obviously he will be conflating it with Simon Sharma's description, because Simon Sharma would have also been talking about what really happened as the show did, and Robespierre was shot in the jaw and then sort of bound up and then beheaded. So it was generally rather terrible. Anyway, Bob, what have you got?
Me, I have Dwayne Bunny.
Hey,
hey, Dwayne.
Earth Shadows on Twitter. Also, obviously, does the Sirens of Audio podcast, which I'm due to make an appearance on if I can get myself sorted out doing spare parts, which would be awesome. So, hi, Dwayne. Good to hear from you. I adore this story, as I adore all of the first Doctor historical stories. The Doctor's costume towards the end is superb. Black and white doesn't do it justice, fair point. Love the colour costumes on the cover of the Target novel. That was written by Iain Mark, a bit thicker than Terry's IRC. What's that mean? IRC?
If I recall correctly.
If I recall correctly, yes, thank you. I'm not very good on them when they make things little. Thanks very much, Dwayne.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. And Craig, I believe you got some feedback as well.
I do indeed. I've got Isaac Heeks. Amazingly shot. There's some excellent direction and cinematography in this serial, and even though it will be glorious in colour, it does look fantastic with the contrast from black and white. Thank you very much, Isaac.
Excellent. Well, a bit of a mixed bag there from people's reactions, and I think that pretty much sums up our general reaction to it.
I'd like to go back and watch it on different drugs. I'm saying like to. I'm not saying I'm going to. So you could do a review after you've had, a couple of acid taps. Or a hit on a bong. Oh my god, I sound like a primary school teacher talking about...
You sound like
drugs.
Ian Chesterton. Yeah. I had a hit on a bong with the Honourable Aubrey Waits.
I'll never be going back to this.
Yeah, just different drugs in that, yeah? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's the only way it can be possibly be enjoyed to watch again. That's all I'm saying.
So thank you very much for all your feedback. We are recording these quite a bit ahead of time, so if you are sending in messages to us and you haven't heard yours read out yet, we will be having like a little recap of our feedback in a future episode, so don't worry if you haven't heard your thoughts read out just yet. So it just leaves us to thank Bob and Craig so much for coming in. It's been a great episode. Great fun to have you on.
Thank you very much, guys.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure. You've been quiet, Craig.
Oh, no, not at all. I've just slagged it off all night.
He's very shy and reserved.
Hasn't he?
I'm on the coffee, that's why, not the vodka.
Before you go, where can we hear you if we
You can hear me, as we said, on Progtor Who.
Fucking miles away, it's loud as fuck. What?
Yeah. Occasionally I'll check this out, but mostly Progtor Who. Just Progtor Who, really, to be fair. That's my place. But of course, you can always come and see me in person at my B&B, Dylan's of Whitby.
.co.uk.
Yeah, I believe it's reopened. And
it is indeed, yes. We're very excited to be reopened, yeah. But yeah, all my thoughts, usually positive to be fair, a bit negative on Reign of Terror.
You were a whinging bastard last time when we watched The Visitation.
Yeah, it's nostalgic. Yeah, that's where I can be found, Matt. Cheers, thank you.
Excellent. And Bob, where can we hear you?
Well, you can hear me sometimes worshipping things at the Hotel of Dylan'sWhitby.co.uk. That's in Whitby, fantastic hotel with a Michelin star breakfast. But apart from that, you can hear my dullings on the Progtor Who podcast with the delightful and lovely national treasure that is Craig Stimson. You can hear me on Track This Out, which is a Star Trek podcast with John Aitken and Suki Kaku, who graces with their presence on Progtor Who as well, and Lindsay and Andrea. It's great fun. The last 3 have been hilarious. It's great to get the opinions of women, and it adds to, what should we say, comedic debate a lot. But they're a great bunch. It's really funny. It's like a perfect film. So it just starts off quite little lively, builds and builds to crescendo, batters down, comes back up again, finishes. It's just cool. It's different, and I like that because you don't get many women on men and women on one sci-fi podcast nowadays. You get women ones doing, we're women doing sci-fi, and men doing, we're Top Gear doing sci-fi, but you don't get that. You don't get that whole that together, and you've got to think about what you say a little bit more, and it's a bit more. It's fun. Last 3 have been funny as fuck. Let's put it that way. So that's my two podcasts.
Excellent. Thank you both so much for coming on. It's been an absolute delight to have you on.
Pleasure as always,
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. Always, yes.
So until next time, I was Mark.
And I'm afraid I'm Ian.
And I will continue to be Bob in the present and the future. Goodbye.
And I will be Craig as well. Goodbye.
What a BBC send-off that was. Yeah.
If you'd like to get in touch, you can email us at mailbagofrassilon@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter @TimeEndSpacePod, and you can also find us on Facebook. If you want to leave some audio feedback, there is a link in the show notes. You can use your phone or your computer and leave up to 60 seconds of feedback, or if you're listening via the Anchor website, you can click on the message button and leave your audio. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you to Momo Tempo for providing our theme music.
Sailor V, that's a great song, isn't it? By Bewitched. I didn't think about that.
No, it's really not great.
Like you've got it in your 12-inch collections, haven't you, Bob?
Yes, Greg. It's
I'll play it on
It's in an old pizza box with garlic sauce and shit on it.
To be fair, it was really shit.
I bet Bob could rock a double denim.
Oh, I love a triple. In fact, I've been five in once before. I had denim socks. And
I will not allow
what?
Double denim.
5 denim.
Denim socks?
That's right, denim trainers.
Thank Christ for that. I thought you had literally, like, oh my God, a universe with denim socks.
Nice. Incredible, wouldn't it?
That would be amazing.
Denim knee highs.
Clarkson's got some.
Yeah.
When you're driving a Mazda, you really need a denim sock.
Oh God. We don't even start yet.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, we should.
I don't know what I was thinking. Really, having Bob and Ian together again. It's
we should start.
Yeah. Okay. So, shall we just come in from?
We've had the trailer.
Welcome back and.
That's it.
Welcome back and.
Back from there. These are our guests.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All ready?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. And welcome back. And I'm pleased to say we are joined today by 2 special guests. It's got a bit of a feeling of that sort of end of school term thing where, you know, everyone's a bit chilled out and relaxed and no one really gives a toss anymore. So, no, that sounds really bad. It sounds like I'm just,
that's fine. That's fine. Leave that in.
You're just scraping the barrel, Mark. We know.
I really am.
I was just thinking Mark's never been in the staff room at the end of term because there's no laid back there. It's absolutely mayhem and excitement. I'll tell you
wall-to-wall vodka.
It literally is. Like, I was thinking, oh, there's no relaxation. It's screaming and cheering and insulting and a few arses being photographed on the photocopier, rather. Yeah, it's good. Took me back to some days.
Let's go again, right.
Yeah, hello, welcome to the podcast. There's a pair of wankers.
We did have some great guests lined up, but unfortunately they couldn't make
Pulled
it.
out when you got us last minute.
And welcome back. And we are very pleased to be